On August 21st, 2021, a game by the name of Tormented was released, a horror game developed by Dual Effect, a newly created indie studio that set out to release games, with Tormented being their first. This game was set to be a homage to older 3D horror games. I've been wanting to play this one for quite some time, but didn't really do it until now, and I can safely say that this game was absolutely worth playing. This game is really impressive, not only for being made by so few people, but also being the first game released under this new studio. And with Tormented Souls 2 releasing next month, I thought it was no better time than now to make a video on it. So let's jump into the game and see what makes it so special. After showing us the different studio logos, we get to the opening of the menu. This is a really nice menu. It has a really nice composition and the music is really nice here. The game opens up with our main protagonist, Carolyn Walker, just chilling in her room. One day she gets a letter, and in the letter there's a picture of a pair of twins. And on the photo there's a caption: "Do you think you can just simply abandon us here?" Weeks go by after having received that letter, and Caroline can't get it out of her head. So she travels to the location she got the letter from, which is the Wilburger Hospital, to hopefully find her answers. When entering the mansion, it's pretty dark, with some few lights here and there. She gets smacked in the back of her head and falls unconscious. When she wakes up, she is in a bathtub with a tube stuck in her throat. She puts on her clothes but finds out that her eye has been caved out. But now we get to play the game, and the first thing that's pretty obvious is that this game has tank controls. Now, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but personally, I really like tank controls in horror games. I think they make scenarios where they quickly kill enemies or escape much more intense. It gives you a proper feeling that the character you play as is just a normal person that's just been put into a very scary situation. Caroline moves a lot similar to all the Resident Evil titles. Either she can walk or jog to get to places faster. Her controls here are pretty much perfect. I had no problem controlling her. But for the best experience, I do recommend playing with controller, because keyboard, it just doesn't really feel the same. A controller really does this game most justice. Getting outside the room, we are outside in the halls. Going to the left, we can find a lighter, which is very important to have in dark areas. You must never be in dark areas without any form of light, as 1, you can't shoot enemies, and 2, if you stay there for too long, you will die. There are luckily some candles that can be lit in some rooms to make you able to defeat enemies. For now, the lighter is your most important tool. And you will be using this a lot, because this mansion can get pretty dark. And it's also a really good thing that the lighting in this game is really great. The way that it perfectly shows just enough so you can walk around, but never enough so you can't tell if a monster is hiding in the dark. There's nothing more tense in a horror game like this than to open a new door and not have any idea if there's going to be monsters behind there or not. There's never a dull moment when opening to a new area, and it's great. But for now, there haven't been any new monsters. I wonder where they could be. Walking to the left the same way the creature was spotted, it has now spotted you. A man with long claws dragging along on a wheelchair. For now, we can't do anything but try and escape. Look at us, there is a room we can enter to escape it, and inside the room there's another person we can talk to.
What the hell is going on here?
My child, you are pale. What happened to you?
This is Father Noah, a priest that supposedly hangs around this place. He tells us this place has been abandoned and all the staff and patients have been transferred to a new hospital. He also tells us there's a way to turn on the lights around this area by turning on the old generator. And lastly, he also gives you a weapon to defend yourself, the nail gun. The nail gun acts as your standard gun, but shoots nails instead. One cool thing I really like about this game is that all the weapons are homemade. They all look like something you will find in someone's garage. Turning on the generator and going back outside, the wheelchair man is still there, so you could either kill him or run away like you pranked someone. The wheelchair guy is not the only enemy to worry about, as when we go into a room with a big metal fence, there's also the acid spitters. These have no legs and have a tube in their mouth where they can spit acid from. The man in the wheelchair can only attack if you're close to them, but these guys can attack from further distance. But they don't do much damage, so they aren't a huge threat, but they can still be dangerous if not dealt with. One thing to notice is that both of these enemies, they look very similar in conditions like hospital patients would. Missing limbs, extra hospital equipment, and so on. Maybe these were patients on this place, but due to some experiments or magic, they had transformed into these monsters. Perhaps these are just tormented souls. By getting past the acid spitters, we are in the main hall. This is where we entered the mansion the first time. This hall reminds me a lot of the Spencer Mansion hall from Resident Evil 1, being a safe area with a lot of other rooms to explore with different puzzles and dangers ahead. And the music playing here is just so good. It's beautiful as it is haunting. In fact, the whole soundtrack here is just fantastic. I was really shocked by how good it was. The tracks are either intense but atmospheric or calm and beautiful. The track that plays when you meet Father Noah for the first time is so beautiful and peaceful, like you are in a safe place like heaven. One of my favorite creepy tracks is in the waiting room. This is exactly how to set the mood for when you walk into an unknown area. The music is an absolute highlight of the game and one I highly recommend people to check out. It's really great stuff. Now I forgot to mention this earlier, but in the room with Father Noah, there's also another weapon you can pick up. This is the only melee weapon in the entire game, a crowbar. Now, you might think you're going to be like Gordon Freeman being an absolute badass, but trust me, this crowbar fucking sucks. It is so useless and it's only really important to opening up 1 or 2 doors. The enemies take so many hits with it, you barely stun them and it's so slow. This isn't like in Silent Hill games where the melee weapon can be very useful. Here it's just useless. There's even a YouTube video of a guy who did a long play of the game and they never ever used it once, because even they know it's complete dog shit. I only use it sometimes later on when I had to blast a lot of ammo on an enemy and they were lying on the ground, but even then they will still manage to take a hit on me because the crowbar takes too long to damage anyone. This might be perhaps the worst crowbar in any game I've ever played. Now with this being a homage to all the horror games, you can't save at any time. Instead you need to find a film roll and find a recorder to put it in to save. These are limited, so you have to be careful not to save every 2 minutes. And sometimes when you're saving, Caroline will actually give some thoughts about the current situation she's in.
The last thing I remember before losing consciousness was arriving at the hospital and entering the mansion's main hall. I remember pain and then nothing. I woke up sometime later connected to a ventilation machine.
To save you have to go into these safe rooms, and to say it now, the safe rooms are the only rooms that are always 100% safe. No enemies will ever be in any of these. And again, the music is really pleasant here. At this point in the game, you'll have found 2 different parts, so you can create a homemade shotgun. This has to be the weirdest looking shotgun I've ever seen in a horror game. But it does work like a normal shotgun. It does a great deal of damage and makes the target stun for a bit. The sound design is good, but it definitely could have been better. Like, I want the shotgun blast to be brazy and loud, like in Resident Evil Remake or Total Chaos. Despite that, it is still super useful and the weapon I use the most. Getting back to the story, on the upper floor of the main hall we can find a meeting room. Not much of an interest in this room outside of 2 things, a tape recorder and a canvas, but this tape recorder you can't save. There is no tape inside the recorder, so you have to find it. The first one can be found in a small prison cell in a morgue area. There is also another prison cell besides it, but it's locked and for now we can't do much about it. Putting the tape in the recorder, an image appears on the canvas, one of a body on a table. Interacting with it, Caroline goes through the canvas and now she's in the morgue area. Only now things are different. The location seems more clean than before, on top of having a more grey filter on the screen, with a new track and a VHS tape recorder being heard in the background. There is a puzzle to do here revolving around this skeleton. You will find some sentences on this rock and have to figure out which order to press the buttons. Up to now, I have found the puzzles in the game rather unremarkable. I don't think any of them were really that interesting, but this was an exception. I really like this one. Once that's done, the secret door is open again, and when finding the locked cell again, this time a girl is imprisoned there.
Who are you? You don't seem to be one of them.
She had been trapped by her grandfather and just sent her to die. That's so horrible. Her cell is locked, where the only thing we can do is to pour some acid on the lock, but it's going to take a few days to fully dissolve the lock.
What is your name, little one?
I'm Anna. Anna Wildberger.
This girl is one of the twins in this photo, but that begs the question, where is her sister? So when Caroline went into the canvas, she actually went into the past. When going back to the cell in the future, we can find the lock has been dissolved, and not only that, but Emma escaped with a note left on the bed. This will not be the last time we use this tape recorder. We also find Father Noah again in a small room in the corner of the mansion, but on the side there is also a window with a large man walking around with a candle, circling around the corpse on the table. When Caroline asks him about it, he has no clue what she's talking about and says she is just seeing things.
Father, what's going on here? Why is that weird man walking around the operating table with that weird chandelier in his hands?
What are you talking about, child? I don't see anything.
This could be a hint that Caroline is going insane and seeing things others can't, or that the father is a big fucking liar. He is the only other normal person we have met in this place, and for all we know, he could be lying. We are familiar with 2 enemies in this game, but they also do introduce 2 new ones. One is called the Slider. They will slide around being stuck on a stick with wheels, missing half his body and having his arms replaced by sharp knives. But they can also send out spikes out of their entire body, so these enemies are really bad up close. But I do really love the death sound they make though, it is really funny. These enemies will be very common from here on out, and will sometimes just hide in the dark for a good opportunity to attack you. The other monster is the Slasher. Slashers are the most tanky enemies in the game, being tall with 2 big knives on their hands. They can do a lot of damage, so they're by far the most dangerous up close. These are also pretty common in late game, so yay! But thankfully they're also very slow, so running past them is not really a huge issue, unless they just block your path, then that's a bit of a problem. Okay, so I lied, there is actually another enemy in the game introduced. This is the Wall Monster. They will not attack you unless you enter the line of sight, but they're stuck to walls and are used at times to block your way to enter other areas. It is impossible to sneak past these enemies, so they always had to be killed. Both of these monsters are still running with that theme of the hospital patients, with the Wall Monster literally being strapped to a bed. I can't go any longer without talking about this, but damn, this game looks so good! I knew going in it would look good, but not this good. Visually, it's so striking with its beautiful design of the hospital. Each room feels unique and distinct from the next with a lot of detail, with each room having their own atmosphere. The environment is just perfectly done and looks incredible. I love the reception area, the catacombs, and the morgue area especially. These are some of the coolest and most unique areas in the whole game. But again, the lighting in this game is done so well. Being in dark areas only with a flashlight really makes these environments look so frightening, like something is always watching you in the dark. The character models also pretty good. They have a nice amount of detail to them, both on the human characters and monsters. In terms of animations though, it's definitely less polished. I noticed several times the clipping of character models, and sometimes it could feel very slowly animated. I don't know how else to put it. Like, it's not bad, but you can definitely tell this was made by a small crew. And the voice acting, it's fine, but it definitely feels amateurish. Noah sounds pretty right, and Caroline can too at times, but other times her performance can be very stiff.
What is going on here? This place is infested with nightmarish creatures. I need to be strong. I can't quit now.
But to be fair, a lot of the great horror games from 90s to 2000s were in the same way, or even worse in multiple cases, so I do think it weirdly works. It definitely gives me the same vibes. The only real big gripe I have with this game overall is the puzzles. Like I said earlier, the skeleton puzzle was really cool, and there were a few others I did like, but 90% of them were really uninteresting. They weren't challenging or hard to solve. I always go to Silent Hill as an example of good puzzles. Sure, the series has some pretty puzzles, but it also has so many great ones that it really makes you scratch your head. And when you finally do solve it, you feel like a genius. None of the puzzles in this game gave me that same feeling, with the exception of another one later on in the game. This was by far my absolute favorite one. You're in this endless room and can't leave unless you can lead the correct door corresponding to the puzzle 7 times. It was actually really tricky but really fun to solve. I really wish there were more of these in the game, but at the very least none of the puzzles were infuriating. Moving on more with the story, we can find Father Noah again, sitting in a doctor's office with his whole arm gone. Caroline being confused at what's going on, asking what happened, but he gives no answer, being too shocked at what happened. Caroline wants to help him stitch his arm back by going to an alternate world through a mirror in the bathroom, finding his mannequin that is the same pose as Father, finding his arm and stitching it together with a staple gun. And hey, it just works. This other world you go to is a parallel universe. This happened early in the game as well when doing a puzzle with this guy and a heart transplant. Getting back to Father Noah, he thanks us, but Caroline says that she didn't do it. Noah claims it wasn't her, but it was Mr. Wildberger who had helped his arm. Mr. Wildberger being a doctor that works in this place. So our next goal is to find him, and hopefully finding him we can get more information about the twins and why Caroline got the letter. Father does also give us something as well, a flashlight. This flashlight is permanent and sticks to Caroline's jacket, so Caroline can shoot enemies while having a light source. A great upgrade that is super helpful. Around this area there's also another weapon to find, this one being the absolute last one. A gate that used to be locked can be opened, and there you can find the electric lance, and this weapon fucking rocks. max. It does a lot of damage and stuns every enemy it hits. Sure, the enemy has to be up close to use it, but it's so fast to stun enemies, it's never a problem. I never got hit by an enemy when using this weapon, unlike a certain other melee weapon, Electric Lance, my beloved. Now at this point, you are getting used to the game and understand the mechanics and the enemies. I mean, surely they wouldn't add an unkillable stalker enemy, right? This is the Ghost, acting as this game's unkillable enemy. But of course, at first, I didn't know that. I thought it was just a normal boss, hence why I blasted him a lot. Now, realizing he couldn't get killed and could spawn in any room in the mansion, I thought, oh shit, this is going to make the game hard. But unfortunately, this whole mechanic has one huge flaw that makes it just not work in the end. This enemy can randomly spawn in any room in the mansion, appearing about every 3 or 4 rooms. But the thing is, if you enter a room and hear the scary music play, you can just immediately go back and enter a room again and she's gone. This works every single time and it really ruins this whole mechanic. It made her just not scary at all. But getting past the Ghost, we enter the office where Mr. Wildberger was supposed to be, but upon arriving, he has been killed. This happened recently, either by one of the monsters or by someone who wants him to stay silent forever. So I just want to say now I'm going to put a spoiler warning, because I know I already talked about a lot of stuff that's happening in the game, but the most interesting stuff in the story is happening from here and out. So if you are really interested in playing this game, I would say this is a good place to just drop off. After a while of walking around different areas and solving puzzles, we come across the sewers. This area hosts some of the toughest enemies in the game, but the most recognizable thing about this place is that there's a big metal door. 2 different scanners, one on each side. Not sure what's in there or how to activate the doors, but we'll find out soon enough. If you do walk to the right side to this door, you will find a room with a mirror. This room is very important for several reasons. Caroline entering the mirror, she's actually back home. This is not a fake out. This is actually her room. If she wanted to, she could just leave the place, but she's so determined to find out about the twins that she just doesn't want to leave. There is also possible with this TV, you have to find the right images corresponding to the right numbers, and I spent way too long on this puzzle, dude. I'm almost a bit embarrassed by how long it took. But doing it makes the TV explode and a golden amulet appears. Inside the previous room, there's a safe, and in the safe there's a moon amulet. Both can be put together, but for what? Well, right beside the office area where the ghost appeared, there's actually another place to enter. On the wall, a symbol of the moon and sun can be seen. Putting the combined amulet there opens a secret door. In the secret door, there is a ballerina, and listening to the song, Caroline remembers who she really is. She is Emma, one of the twins in the picture. This place used to be Emma and Anna's home, with their mother and father working in this place. They lived pretty happily until Emma's and Anna's grandfather wanted to use them both as a sacrifice for a ritual that he's been wanting to do for many years, with the ritual requiring a pair of twins to actually succeed. You can even find notes of a woman who they always tried to get pregnant with so she could birth twins, but always ended in miscarriage. One day, the grandfather chased after Emma, Anna, and their mother, with Emma falling off a bridge but escaping from them, losing her memories in the process. Meanwhile, their mother was killed and Anna suffered for a long while down in the sewers, the room in the mirror being her only place to be. In the last entry of Anna's diary, she writes about how her condition got a lot worse, with her skin changing due to the radiation down there. Where she is now is complete mystery. She could still be alive, or she could be dead. Now with even more determination, she wants to get into the huge vault door, as Anna could possibly be alive in there. But it's locked and we need something to open it. What you need is Anna and Emma to stare into it, but that's not possible since we only are one person. But that's when Caroline uses her 180Q brain and goes back to the past when she was in a tube to cut out her eye and use it on the second scanner. Not gonna lie, this kind of blew me away the first time I saw this. Doing so opens the door, but it's empty. There is nothing there. That is until our favorite priest is back and opens a secret door. And another plot twist, Noah is Emma and Anna's grandfather.
Grandfather Noah? Now I remember you.
Oh God, you have your memories back. Then you remember that your stupid mother stopped me from sacrificing you and your sister. A sacrifice that could have brought back our Savior. Well, God took care of her. He made her pay for her sins.
What have you done to my sister? Where is she?
Your sister is just another tool for me to awaken our Savior. Follow me if you want your answers.
Hey, wait! Where do you think you're going?
Noah's plan has always been to use a pair of twins as a sacrifice in a ritual in order to awaken God to their world. And now more than ever, he is close to achieving it. And from playing a lot of horror games with crazy religious lunatics, this is not a good thing. This whole area is just filled with darkness, with only light source being our light and the new enemy type, the Atomic Man. These, unlike other monsters, are still humans with suits. These suits were meant to protect them from the radiation down here. There are actually some notes you can find down here seeing that some of these people actually died from radiation poisoning despite wearing the suits. They're slow but very tanky, dealing a great amount of damage. I think the designs are so cool and visually very striking. The light coming out of their eyes works super well and makes them so much scarier. The atmosphere down there is also just perfect, feeling constantly on the edge and every room feels like it's going to be your last. The music is just constant noise, with you really feeling like there's something down here that's just stay here. After doing a puzzle with draining the water, we can enter the bottom of the place and try and stop Father. He has even gotten the ghost to stay in a place. I have no idea how he managed to do this, but he must have some foreign powers. Talking to him won't work. He is far gone and wants nothing but to finish a ritual, leaving us to fight against his loyal servants. I really thought at first they were gonna have so much health, but it was just a couple of shotgun shots and they were down. After beating them, we can interact with the ghost. Now, here you have actually two options. Either you can slice it with a knife, which kills it, which is bullshit, because again, beat the shit out of her with a crowbar, but okay. Or you can give her a blue serum that will heal the ghost and turn her back to Anna. This is the same serum that Wildberger had been working on to cure the radiation poisoning, but unfortunately it was all too much for her, and she is dead, and behind her old body is a pair of clippers to take with you. These will actually be pretty important later on. Taking the elevator, we are down in the catacombs with a lot of caskets around us. People who either died serving Father or have gone up against him. When entering the next room, Father Noah is there, ready to get his god back to life. Caroline tries to stop him, but she's too late. A huge beating heart is seen in front of him. He cuts both his hands and a lot of blood pours out. Due to blood loss, he dies, and this big monster emerges. This is the only boss fight in the game, and what should be this super epic fight is instead kinda just lame. The music is cool, but the fight is just not hard at all. All it does is spit acid at you, which doesn't do much damage. You have to make the drill above it to fall down on the creature to kill it, and to do so you have to activate these 3 panels. But these panels are protected by these arms, so to shoot them first. And all of this is just so easy, just not interesting. I really expected this fight to be much more interesting, but it ended up being probably the most disappointing part of the game. Finally defeating it, the drill is land on the monster and it is gone. And with that, Caroline has found out the mystery between the 2 twins and defeat the evil around this place. Being back in the main hall, now with the sunlight shining through the window. Using a key drop from one of Noah's men, she can open the front door and leave this place for good. This is the first ending being her leaving completely alone. The second one goes differently. If you leave Anna's ghost alone and just continue the game as normal, when you try to leave, she will come back. Honestly, I'm not a fan of this ending. I find it just really uninteresting. I think a bad ending should at least be cool or interesting some way, and this is just neither. There is, however, a third ending, and it's the only ending I do like in the game. Do the same things as before, killing or healing Anna, defeat the final boss and get out of the catacombs, but this time go back to the canvas with the first tape in the recorder and find Anna again as a child. Both Anna and Emma escape, only that Emma promised Anna that they will find her mother, but that will never come and she knows it. I do really like this ending because objectively it's the best outcome, but it also makes me wonder how they will go about it in the second game. They're never finding the mother since she is dead, so how would Anna eventually react to this? Only time will tell. Hopefully this will be a plot point in the sequel. And that is Tormented Souls, a really solid horror game that managed to pay homage to all the horror games in the 90s, early 2000s, while also being its own thing. Sure, it can be clunky at times, the puzzles outside a few are not interesting, some mechanics could get easily exploited, and the final boss was really disappointing. But otherwise, I had a really great time with this game. And hey, like I said before, I think clunkiness in indie games like this can be really charming. For being made by only 10 people, this game was very impressive, and I can easily recommend it. Playing this has made me even more excited for the sequel, as it also looks fantastic and even better. With all that being said, I thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.